First 2 weeks, it took me about 2 to 3 weeks to get my feet on the ground and get things up and running. And the employees at Precinct 4 never missed a beat that whole 3 weeks. They ran calls for service, handled everything operational wise. Make sure I stay on track here. We at Precinct 4, and I can't go into everything with our time constraints, but we have a patrol division, we have a civil division, a warrant division, we've got special crimes division, where we run our big thing right now is the gaming rooms, the massage parlors. A lot of them were on Epic 1960. We were able to work those and slowly but surely you can see they're gravitating out to the Wetter Road, Epic 2920 area. We continue to hit those and make cases. Problems we're running into with the massage parlors and the gaming rooms is when we run them from one place, they go open up under another name. So, again, the patrol division is the biggest part of what we do. We patrol right at about 110 contracts. That's from subdivisions, mud districts. 91% of our workforce is derived from the contract deputy from all of you. I mean, the HOAs choose to have us. We not only patrol those contracts, but the rest of our time, we're like most of our contracts are a 70-30. So 30% of that time, we run calls in the outlying district, like in these strip centers, shopping centers. We run calls to folks that don't even have a contract with us. I can tell you that our numbers out here, we're right at about 445 sworn officers. And the Harris County Sheriff's Office, I believe, and this isn't exact, but I believe they got about 600 something patrolling for the entire county. So that tells you basically where we stand in conjunction as far as Precinct 4 presence out here. We have a very good response time. Our response time for Friday one calls are about 3 minutes, a little over 3 minutes. We work very well with the Sheriff's Office. Sheriff Hickman came out last week. He checks on me every day, or has been. I haven't heard from him today. This is the first day he has not called to check on me. So, but he still has a presence out here. He cares a lot, even though he's downtown. We met for breakfast 2 days after I was sworn in, and he told me, man, he said I went from 500 to close to 5,000, and so he is trying to get his feet on the ground too there, and has done a great job so far. He did take about 7 or 8 of our top command staff folks. Good folks, so I have been promoting from within our organization. This gives our guys an opportunity to folks that didn't have a chance to shine to come up and rank. So I've made a couple of chiefs, a couple of captains. I've got 2 more chiefs to promote, another captain and some lieutenants. So we're right where we need to be, and probably within the next month we'll be right back as far as the staffing. Fred, I know you had mentioned something about you wanted us to talk about the open carry laws and how that affects.
How do you think that's going to affect you, and how is that going to be perceived, and how's that going to be worked?
Yeah, it's going to affect us, okay? Because I mean, and I don't mean in a bad way. It's going to affect us like on our training of our officers. We have folks carrying guns, and we have to disarm them, or I think it's very, very important. And I talked to our guys in our training academy. I think communication is going to be everything. We confront folks that have an open pistol out, and we have to instruct them to disarm them for whatever reason. There were some the bills, and I jotted them down. The Government Code 411 basically authorizes us as police officers to disarm somebody. We feel maybe a threat, or for whatever reason, it's a disturbance. But I think that it's going to be very, very important for my officers to clearly communicate. In other words, you don't want someone to take their own gun out and hand it to you. I mean, it's going to be very, very important to tell them, hey, put your hands up, put them against the wall, and us disarm them. So we're going to look at some policy changes. We are going to coordinate with other police organizations and our county attorney on methods and ways to do that. And of course, the open carry doesn't kick in until January, so we have time for that. The other one was the open carry on campus. And now there are more stipulations on that bill. specific areas where they can make rules for where they cannot carry the guns. And so, you know, we'll have to work through that also. And on campus, it's my understanding they have to be concealed. Debbie, is that right? On campus, they can't openly carry them, they got to be concealed. Let's see. Same thing as far as open carry, you got to be licensed by the state, background check, through NCIC, GCIC, DPS will still handle all that. And of course, you know, the class to carry. Are there any questions on any of that? Or?
Is the training the same for the open as concealed?
Yes.
So if you get one permit, you could go either concealed or open?
Yes. Yes, unless you're on a college campus. And I'll tell you something else, with these bills, the alcohol beverage codes are going to be affected because the signage at bars and stuff like that has to be all different and changed. There's a variety of other bills that plays into this too. So there'll be like a domino effect, so to speak. But I think with time, we're going to get through this. And it's, I mean, honestly, I'm not worried about it because, I mean, our guys and all law enforcement, we're pretty professional folks with a lot of common sense. So this is just an adjustment we're just going to have to make. But it will be made. So, question?
You're speaking of the officers disarming simply because open carry?
No.
That's what it sounded like.
I'm sorry?
That's what it sounded like.
Okay, well, I didn't mean to make it sound that way if I did. What I meant to say and what I thought I said is that if we have a disturbance call, like say for instance a family disturbance, and we get there and it's between the husband and wife, and the husband has a gun on, okay, and we get there to defuse that situation, if we feel threatened or we feel that we need to disarm this guy for whatever reason.
Well, that makes sense.
Most of the time, folks don't have a gun on them. I mean, but with open carry now, if we get there and they do, it's you know, going to be a little different.
Well, you wouldn't know if we had a concealed weapon.
We would know pretty quick when we pat them down, try to stabilize the situation. Because normally on something like that, you would separate them and ask if you got any weapons on you, come over here for officer safety and pat them down, and you would find them. So, yes, sir.
What is the criteria for stopping someone who has not committed something?
I wouldn't see us doing it. I mean, if a person has a handgun and it's showing and he's a licensed carrier, I mean, you know.
How do you know whether he's licensed carrier or not unless you stop and talk to him?
You know what? I didn't read if we could actually ask them if they're concealed carry them, you know?
Yeah.
You can, but typically you wouldn't go around asking that unless there was a designated reason, if there was probable cause.
Right. Probable cause or another reason to make you even have to confront this person.
Yeah.
Now, the amendment, it came on right at the last, and I'm sure that people like that, because it really restricts you from asking them.
Yes.
And you need to know. Right. If I help you or not.
In the concealed carry law, if my memory is correct, if you come in contact with an officer, I believe you're supposed to notify or tell them that you have a concealed carry license.
Yeah, it used to be that way, but did they do away with that? Because so you still do that?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, if you're driving and you're stopped and you have your CHL, you're supposed to keep both of your hands on the steering wheel and let the officer know that you have your CHL. And the officer will ask you, where is your weapon? And then you tell the officer. So that part has not changed. The CHL, there's not a lot that has changed in the law other than you can carry it open. I mean, your CHL is all still the same.
Yeah, and this is going to be an educational process for us, because actually I have everything printed up and I've read through it, glazed over it. But we're going to end up probably doing at least a one-day training class for every one of our personnel. And I think all the other agencies will probably fall in line with the same thing. We've already been speaking to other agencies and organizations, but it's going to be a learning curve for us. And I think it's just like anything else. Once we get it down, it's not going to be no issue. it's gonna go fine. Yes, ma'am.
How much of an issue do you think it would be for somebody bad to disarm the person who's open carrying? And so then the wrong person's got the gun.
Yeah, you know, I don't want to speculate and go into that. I mean, things happen and,
How easy is it for somebody to get a gun out of that person's holster?
depends on the other person. I mean, like us, they teach us what to do and how to turn and all that. But I don't want to speculate on that. But, you know, with anything that you do or anything you change, there's going to be things that apply to it that could happen. I mean, you know, and you had mentioned about the public housing and stuff like that.
Yeah, what effect is the changing and the degradation of the housing down in the 1960 Ella area? You see some of the areas that are really getting pretty dilapidated. What effect is that? Do you have more crime? Do you have more service calls in those areas?
I can tell you what the housing and stuff is a state issue, but I can tell you wherever you have more people, you're gonna have more problems. That's just the way it is. I mean, we out here in Precinct 4 are growing. This is the most heavily populated, fastest growing area in the county. And the more people you get, the more issues you're gonna have, more problems. And as far as the crime rate, you know, I don't have anything to really back that up one way or another. I can tell you, we make a lot of arrests on 1960s, and we make a lot of arrests out here sometimes. I mean, just night before last, we arrested 3 guys robbing the Jack in the Box here at Springside, Mr. Percy Dock. Went in, pistol whipped them, stole a car. We got in the case, caught all 3 of them. So the crime even happens out here. As far as the rate of it and stuff, we're not doing a crime analysis on a certain area and checking it from month to month, and, you know, it's hard to tell. But we've got this new thing, and it was kind of weird because when Ron was still the constable about 8 months ago, he goes, "Hey," he goes, "I want you to look into this predictive analytics deal." I said, "What is it, boss?" He goes, "Where you can predict where crime's going to happen." I said, "Really?" And I said, "I don't believe it." I said, "I don't want to do it because you're going to do it." So basically what it is crime analysis, and you run it like the date and the time, and you basically figure out when the most crime happens. And really and truly, after I started looking into it and really studying it, it's almost, I mean, you can't predict exactly where, but you can say when your next burglaries and stuff's going to happen, because if you look at the criminals, they kind of hit an area, then they'll hit another area, and another area. So predictive analytics is a big thing. And he, down at the Sheriff's Office, and we've talked about this, he is going to have his crime stat guys, because I don't have that many people. He's got folks down there that are going to send me crime maps or us crime maps and say, this is where you're at, this is where it's projected, and what we're going to do is we're going to do what Precinct 4 does best, and that's copping and displacing crime and putting crooks in jail. I mean, if you follow the newspapers and the TV, our guys are out there working right alongside Ron's guys, the Sheriff's Office. And I see a really lot of good things with Ron being their sheriff now and us being here. I mean, all of us know him. I know him so well that I know what his next move will be in the next couple of weeks. So we're going to work with him as one unit, and crime is in control out here. So we're looking forward to that. Yes, ma'am.
Do we have a crime alert like we do a weather alert too?
Well, actually, you know, I don't know if y'all ever heard of crimereports.com. You can go to that. You can register like any crime around your area. It alerts you on your phone. Yes, crimereports.com. And you can like you have. I say you want to be alerted for burglaries or car thefts. You register, on the program, and it'll alert you on your phone. Just have a burglary. And it's really. Since Ron got involved in it, it probably takes about 10 minutes to get it through the system. As soon as they enter the call, it goes to crime reports, and you get the information. Pretty neat. In the next 5 years, technology and law enforcement is really going to help us. So,
And what is that?
crimereports.com. Yeah, crimereports.com. And I'm sure y'all heard of the Next Door program. A lot of subdivisions are starting to get it. That's the same thing. They feel like we have subdivisions that participate in it, and like the guys that robbed the Jack in the Box, that's right by Windrose Bridgestone. We blasted it out the next door in those neighborhoods to let folks know that, hey, we have a robbery, but we got them, you know? Huh?
I didn't hear that until just now. That's not very important.
Yes, yes. And let me tell you something, folks. The days of the crime staying around Greensport, the city, they're over with. Because when they start beeping and they come out 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, let me just say this. Y'all know that we gotta have probable cause to stop a vehicle. And we do. We find the probable cause. But if you're driving around 1, 2 o'clock in the morning out in North Harris County, there's a good chance you're gonna get stopped on a traffic violation. Because usually, and you know, there are good folks that go to work and all that, but 1, 2 o'clock in the morning is when a lot of these things are happening. You know, 11 o'clock at night, you know. And I'm gonna tell you, the night guys, and I went out with them the other night, that night cop is a whole different animal. I remember when I was on the streets 20 years ago working nights, it's changed so much now. The young men and women that are on the street and law enforcement out here have the hardest jobs. Now we make them video, we make them record, people, we call King's X, we do an IAE investigation. I mean, they've got to cross, you know, their T's and dot their I's and everything. They have a hard job. They have a hard job. And when I go to roll calls, I thank them for what they do. And I remind them that they are the reason for success. They are the reasons that folks want us to work with them. It ain't me, it ain't the chiefs, it ain't the captains. And we guide the ship, but that's all. They're the ones out there risking their lives. So, any other questions?
Are you having any trouble with new recruits, considering what's been going on around the country and in the news?
Such as in which way?
Well, there's been a lot of blowback, you know, against the police.
Right. Yeah,
And I'm wondering at what point the guys are gonna say, hey, I don't need to put up with that job.
Well, I'll tell you, and you know, we've got a lot of young guys, 21, 22-year-old guys come to work with us. And a lot of them have never been in a fight before, ever. And so part of our training, we give them 3 days of hand-to-hand fighting with instructors and learning what it's like to be grabbed and thrown on the ground. Because because you put them in a uniform and you put them out on the street, when they get into a fight, they're not going to know how to react if you don't work with them. But we've had several officers that we put into our training program, and they, after maybe a week out there, they said, hey man, I'm sorry, but this just is not for me. And then they turn to resignation. It's not a easy job. It's really, really not. And it's dangerous. I mean, you didn't, 20 years ago, 25 years ago, you didn't hear about cops getting shot. You know, you didn't hear about, you know, cops getting caught. Used to, you pull them over, they're respectful, and you know, they listen to you. Now they're, why did you stop me? Well, you know, an altercation's on. You know, and you know, sometimes it's difficult to work with folks. And you know, what I tell our folks is treat them nice, or treat them, you know, like you would your parents or your family. You know, go in like a lamb, but you gotta come out like a lion. That's what we're gonna do. And guess what? We're gonna win. Because we got the whole state of Texas coming. You know, when we have an issue or a problem, and if our officer gets out and says, we don't care if it's one of Ron's guys or one of the Fine PD guys, everybody gets the message. So.
The question on that respect, when you started 30 years ago, was there a general public give you more respect than they do today?
Yes. And you know, I mean, it's just different. It's different, and a lot of it has to do with what you were talking about. You know, something happens up north or something, folks just look at police differently. I know we've had folks that complain on my officers, and by the time we start looking at the video and stuff, they're the instigators. Or we'll tell them, well, look, let us pull that officer's video, and we'll, you know, get you to come in and give us a, oh, you got video? Oh, we want to come in, you know? So I'll tell you, I've invested in every one of our patrol cars have video. Every one of our officers have a pocket paper that they carry on them, so when they go inside a house or they go wherever they go, that they can, that recorder will shut down a lot of complaints. And it'll also, at the same time, both of them will keep us in check. They will keep us in check.
So, are you gonna have cameras?
I'm sorry?
Are you getting cameras?
Yeah, we
Body cams?
I'm sorry?
Body cam?
Body cams, we already have body cams. We have the little ones that you put on we've had them for 4 years. I mean, Ron Hickman is very progressive. He has pretty much put us, I mean, our organization is almost paperless. We do everything on the computer. There's not much documents to handle. Same thing in Judge Goodwin's court, Judge Corduva's court. Our guys write a ticket, and that button is hit, and it goes straight to his court. And so Ron Hickman has put us ahead of a lot of organizations. And matter of fact, he told me the other day, he come out of the office, and we were sitting in there, he goes, hey man, he goes, they still doing a lot of this stuff on paper. And so he's going to be working to get them to transition over to the paperless side of it. It makes you more efficient. Your workload goes down, and it's just a better environment. So, yes, sir. Unit himself, because SO didn't have one. But basically, it's computer crimes. It's like when we go to a house and there's pornography on a computer, our guys take it and we'll analyze it and file the charges and stuff like that. Or these folks that you see wanting to meet folks on the internet. We work with other agencies to report that. We're working I can't talk about that, but we have worked things in the past like prostitution rings with the Sheriff's Office, with HPD, where we'll go and they'll set up at a hotel and they'll call folks out and publicize it on media and come on out, and these guys will show up. I think in one deal they arrested like 20-something guys within a 2-day period. So we do a lot of reverse sting stuff. We have, the Home Depots and the Lowe's get hit a lot. And so here a while back did a reverse thing. We'll pull the old truck up and leave the generators and chainsaws in the back. And sure, they come in about 10-15 minutes, the thieves do. They outlaw it, they'll drive around the truck, nobody's around, they'll get out, take the stuff out, put it in their vehicle and drive off. We've got patrol units waiting at different areas, and they pull them over on traffic and arrest them. So, we're into a lot of stuff to control crime. I'll tell you, we'll never stop crime. Don't ever believe that the police will ever stop all crime, because we won't. But we can control it, I promise you. We can control it. We do it every day. Every day. We come up with new, innovative ways. And I'm going to tell you, the deputies that work on the street, they work, we've got deputies that have worked in certain subdivisions for 15, 20 years. When they have a burglary, they take it personally. We had a guy the other day that house was burglarized and had no leads whatsoever. He started looking around the other houses and saw a video camera on the house, and we knew what time frame had happened. He goes to the people when they get home and says, hey, before you video between 12 o'clock and 1:30 and see if you can see a vehicle, they got a vehicle restriction. They arrested the guy in 3 days driving around another subdivision. They put the word on. So these deputies out there are tenacious. They will not stop till they do it. And unfortunately, when you get them, it stops for a while, but someone else always comes to take the place. And so we got to keep battling. We got to keep fighting. Don't give up. And we need y'all to. If you're in your subdivision, you see somebody don't belong, we want to know. These guys that come in at 9 o'clock at night, knocking at the door to, spray something, show you out. We want to know they're walking our subdivision. Now, we might not be able to arrest them, but we can make it difficult because we want to know who you are, and we're going to run you for warrants. If you got warrants, we're going to arrest you. And, they have no business out there at that time. No business whatsoever. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
In Montgomery County, they have a special division, one of the Constables Office, doing human trafficking, doing child pornography, and doing, I think, some other activities. Do you have that going on in Precinct 4, or what is happening in regards to that?
We do have a human trafficking division. We have 4 folks that work in that. We have one that works on a grant that we get through the federal government. And what we do is I've got, I think, 9 investigators that work the gaming, and we will take 3 or 4 of them to work with her. Actually, they're working with her now. But what we do with human trafficking, you'll find that the human trafficking will go out to Precinct 4, and it'll go over to Precinct 5 or into the city. So we coordinate with Precinct 5, the Sheriff's Office, HPD, and we all put members together. And a team on the human trafficking will normally be about 15 to 20 officers from different divisions. And, I was talking about the massage parlors earlier. We worked a deal here at Kirkendall in 1960 about 8 months ago where the girls were in there doing massages, and we sent some undercover guys in, and we made some cases. We arrested them for prostitution. I think it was like 3 Oriental ladies. And when we started going through the purses, we started finding like airline tickets. And these girls had just flown in from New York the day before. And so what they're doing is they're taking these girls and they're moving them all around the United States. And a lot of them don't want to cooperate. They won't cooperate. Because the only way we can make a case on the folks that's having them do this is with their testimony and then, coming forward. Now, we have had some in the past that said, I just want to get out of here. And of course, we give them the resources, and we usually get the FBI involved to help us with that. And but it's out there. It happens. It affects our community, and I think the more we keep shutting them down and making it difficult. I mean, we'll go on the massage parlor. We may not be able to make a prostitution case, but we'll file on them for not having their license to do it, which is a Class B misdemeanor and arrest. We'll make it difficult. And just like the game rooms have got to the point now where they have the black window film, you can't see in, and they got a door that they buzz you in. Well, in order for my guys to make a case, they've got to get in there. And they got to sit at the machine, they got to play it, and hit a jackpot and get paid some money. I mean, we give the guys about $10,000 a week buy money that they use to go in and gamble at these places. Some of them won't let them in, so what they got to do, they sit back and they watch people coming and going, and they'll go and try to befriend whoever came out and say, look, we'll give you some money. They legitimately give them $500, $1,000 to take them in there with them. And they'll play the machines, and then if the guy hit a jackpot, they come pay you cash. That means the statute of the law. They'll get the warrant and a search warrant, and then we go back. And that's when it's fun, because they don't let you in. Well, guess what? We take the door off. And then when we get in, we see every bit of money. I can tell you right now, I have about close to $300,000 in a seized asset forfeiture account that we seized from illegal gambling. And we can use that money for laundry. I can't use it for overtime or for deputies, but I can use it for equipment, surveillance equipment, patrol cars, whatever we need. And 99.9% of the time when we seize that money, these folks will not contest it. They go plead guilty for gambling and don't even contest the money. They just give it. So,
why are these places so hard to get rid of? Is it a problem that our legislature just doesn't have the consequences high enough?
No. Let me tell you something. This is 100% profit businesses. Okay? It's easy money. What they do is when we bust them, they'll go down the road and open up under another name. We got a deal right now with our deputies on the street that if you find us a gaming room, just send it in to our guys and they'll start working. I tell them I will buy them lunch for everyone they find. Everyone they find. And that's what we need y'all's eyes here. If you have a gaming place that pops up, you can remain anonymous. Just go to our website, put the information in, and we'll handle it from there. Well, yeah, normally folks will know because their neighbors will go in there and play and they'll talk about it, or we want to know even if it's just something that doesn't look right, because we have our ways of knowing. I mean, we'll watch people, the op guys will watch people go in and out, get them pulled over on traffic and say, where are you coming from, what are you doing? We'll get information that way. There are ways to find out what they're doing. But a lot of these strip centers, most of the strip centers are owned by folks that don't even live here. They may live in California or wherever. All they know is they're leasing to whoever forward it. They usually don't even know it is a game. Now we have had some that have opened up, and when we contact the owner saying, hey, these guys that got a gaming deal, they'll kick them out, convict them. So we do get cooperation, but more times than none, it's quick money for them too. They're usually paying cash.
When you say it's a misdemeanor if they get caught?
It is for gamblers a Class A misdemeanor.
That's ridiculous.
Well,
it ought to be a felony, $100,000 fine, and 10 to 10 years in prison.
Yeah, well, Class A, you can do up to 2 years.
Well, that's still not enough.
Yeah. Yes, sir, Judge.
So just to clarify, when I was a prosecutor and I would go out with vice and do raids with them and warrants and stuff, one of the things with gaming rooms is that you may have a question about is I wouldn't know one when you saw one. or most of the game rooms aren't the guy with a green hat on dealing cards. They're 8-liner machines.
Yes.
So they look kind of like video games standing up that you can see a kid playing at the pizza place. These aren't pizza place game machines, but they stand up, and the odds are worse than anywhere you'd even get in Vegas. I mean, it's almost a highway robbery. So that may be the machines that he's talking about.
Yeah, you'll see them like in some of these stores you go into, they have 1 or 2 of them there, and a few people over there playing, but it's wide open. And you know, most of the ones in the stores will spit out tickets and stuff like that, but if they pay them cash, that's illegal. And so most of the time for us to make the case, my guys get in there, and it's hard. I mean, I got one that we've been trying to get into for 6 months. And we're to the point where we're trying to, we may have to coordinate with the fire marshal to just go in one day and just do an inspection or something, you know. So, yes, ma'am.
Are they open all day and all night?
They're open different times.
Different times?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you give us some names that maybe we've seen them in place like that?
Most of them don't have names. I mean, they're just there and folks know they're there.
Oh, okay. So, okay, would it be accurate to say that typically it's a section of the strip center that's not labeled at all, and it would almost appear to be vacant, but the windows are blocking by the hands when I go
Bunch of cars out front, company going, that's a sign. Yes, that's a sign. So, any other questions? Yes, sir, Zach?
This is off the topic of gambling, but y'all had a pretty impressive prostitution case off of 1960 and 45. Can you talk a little bit about that and what y'all are doing on 1960 to kind of control that?
Yeah, I can't say if we're doing something now, but I can tell you that we did embed with different agencies, and we've got about 5 girls, but after a while they become, you know, noticeable. So we commingle our girls with HPD, the Sheriff's Office, DPS, and it's kind of weird because a lot of times I don't even know these operations are going on. And about 3 months ago, I think it's probably the one you're talking about, I'm driving on the Hardy Tower, I exit 1960, and I see this girl walking down the road, and I almost stopped. You know, I said, where's her car at? You know, and I drove through, and then later that evening, one of the captains that's over that op team called me about something, and he goes, you know, we're working this deal. And I said, no, what deal? He goes, prostitution deal at 1960 and 45. And I said, did y'all have somebody walking? He goes, oh yeah, there's 2 girls out there walking. So they were out there actually doing the deal then, and folks were stopping. They made like 4 arrests that day. Guys just pulling up and just saying, hey, you know, blah, blah, blah. And they, you know, let them drive off and they'll pop. And so that's probably what you're talking about, Zach. But we continue to do that, and we're going to continue to hit more places on 1960. But again, like the gaming rooms and stuff like that, they're kind of slowly transitioning out. And see, the problem is a lot of these folks are going over to Precinct 5. So Precinct 5 now has started their own gaming and hot bar, and actually some of their guys are with our guys being trained right now. So they can start doing the same thing. So,
Is this crime, is this what, I was a kid and I lived up north, and we had the organized crime. Is this crime all freelance, or is there some big organization?
yeah, you know, it's tough to gauge because most of the time, like in the prostitution and the gaming, they don't cooperate with us. I mean, they don't cooperate to the point of giving us hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I think some of it is organized, like the girls that had plane tickets that they had just flown in and stuff. That's obviously organized. But some of these mom and pop game rooms and stuff, they're just mom and pop. So, you know, we got to shut them down either way.
Yeah.
Any other questions? I apologize at the beginning. I got very busy in here.